Hi everybody, Alex Deploy here from Expert Forex. I'm just making this video to assist testers with the objectives that we have for the testing process of the Power Punch EA. Now this testing process is going to differ from conventional testing in that what a lot of people do is go for optimization settings. So they only go for one or two settings that produce the best results. We are more interested in going for bands of settings that produce lots of positive results. So that's what we're after, and I'll show you how to do that. The first thing to do is to actually load the Power Punch EA into the strategy tester, and I'm going to just use the euro, and I'm only going to test for a small period of about 6 weeks. I'm using the 5-minute time frame, 20 pips for the euros, fine, and then I'm going to do the settings. So let's have a look at the settings that we'll use. Here are the Power Punch settings. Now there are settings for Monday to Sunday. That's not going to be part of the test that we need to do, so all of them will just remain active and at one lot. Then we'll move on to the ones that do matter, which is essentially the start of the trend. You can do that in hours or minutes. Then the end of the trend in hours or minutes. Then the trend size is an input. The take profit is another major input, and the initial stop loss is another input. So those are the 5 items, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that we will try and optimize and test initially. So what I'm going to do is use settings that I think will most probably be the settings that will produce the results, and I'm going to test from 6 o'clock in the morning GMT to 10 o'clock in the morning GMT. Then I'm going to, the end of the trend is going to be just before the US Open, so it'll be 10 o'clock GMT to 1400 GMT. The trend size, I don't know, but I'm going to guess that it's going to be somewhere between 30 pips and 100 pips. And the take profit, I'm going to guess, is going to be between 80 pips and 140 pips, and the initial stops between 40 and 100. So that's essentially what we're going to be testing. The 6, I'm going to start with big gaps of 2 hours, so it'll only be testing 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. The same thing here, it'll only be testing 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and 1400 hours. Then the trend size will be, I'll have to change that to maybe 40, or keep it 20. All right, so the trend size will start with 20, have a gap of 20, and go to 100. The take profit will start at 80, have a gap of 20, and go to 140 pips. The initial stop will be 40 with a gap of 20, and it'll go to 100. So let's just run those. The idea with the first run is just to get a feel of where the possible answers could lie. You want to go with options that won't be too high. I think this will result in about 700 options. So let's just click OK, and then we click on optimization, and we click on start. It will then go away and work out how many options there are. Also, a thing to remember is to go into the optimization results and make sure that click useless results is unticked. In other words, we want to see the useless results, and as you can see, it's already started testing. All right, it's worked out that it's going to be testing 720 alternatives, and that the it's already starting to test that. It's going to take about 47 minutes, so that's just under an hour. I'm going to just let it run, and we can have a look at the results when that is all over. And then we'll go on to the secondary testing phases and refine it down until we get bands of settings that give us good results. So Right, the first run of optimization has completed. We've done 720 runs, and it didn't quite take 40 minutes. It took 26 or 27 minutes, and we now have 720 results, and I've sorted them from high to low. You can see the highest there is almost 800 pips over the 6-week period from 13 transactions. But that's not really what we're going to be looking at now. What we want to do is we want to try and find the groups or the ranges of settings that will work for this particular EA. So my next step will be to go to the optimization graphs. And when you click on there, you activate the two-dimensional surface, and this is what we're looking at right now at the top here, is the two-dimensional surface. So you can then specify the x-axis and the y-axis for this particular graph. And in this particular case, let's have a look. The x-axis is the take profit, and the y-axis is the stop loss. So what this graph is telling us is that the dark green are the most profitable levels and the light green are the least profitable levels. So what it's basically saying is that the higher the target, because there's 80, 100, 120, 100, the higher the target, the more profitable the system is. And also the stop needs to be ideally in the 80 to 100 level be effective. So what we can do, if we eliminate these blocks here, which are most probably the negative ones, and even that block there, if we eliminate those blocks and those two, we will be left with a much more profitable situation. So what we can do is we can say, all right, the take profit must be over 100 and the stop loss must be over 80. So let's go to the settings, go to that one, and the stop loss should be over 80 and the take profit should be over 100. So already we've eliminated a lot of negatives out of the situation. Now the start time and the end time is what we could look at next. So let's do that. We go to the optimization results or the graph again, and then we change this, and the X can now become the start time and the Y can be the end time. So clearly we've got a pretty strong situation here. This is not profitable at all. Those ones are a little bit less profitable. So these 4 blocks here is what we want to focus on. So from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock is a good starting time, and from 10 o'clock to 1400 hours is a good ending time. So 10 to 14 and 6 to 10. So let's go to our settings and reset those. So 6 to 10, hang on, oops. 10 to 14, we haven't. So 6 and 8, so eliminate 10 and we'll eliminate 14. So we'd go 6 and 8 and 10 and 12. That's what we'll do. So we go to the settings and we say we eliminate the 14, and that then becomes 12, and that becomes 8. Now by doing that, we will have increased the profitability of the overall system, because we've now got rid of a whole lot of negative deals. And now the next one is the trend size in pips. Now that's going to be a little bit trickier because we can't really compare that with anything in particular, but let's go and have a look at what we can get out of that. So let's see trend size in pips. Trend size in pips. Certainly the bigger trends are less profitable than the smaller trends. So in fact, 20 to 40 is this block here is most probably, that's what this chart is saying. So let me just go and change it to compare it to maybe one of the other factors. Again, this block is the between 20 and 40, still the most profitable. I'm going to just change it to a few other factors. Take profit. Again, 20 and 40 are the better settings. And let's just do the last one. Certainly between 20 and 40. So we can eliminate a whole lot of settings there straight away. So 20 to 40. That's it. So you'll notice I'm not trying to optimize the settings at this stage. I'm trying to optimize the bands that we're working with. So let's run them again. Now, we've eliminated a lot there. So when we run it again, there'll most probably be fewer options. So I'm going to start it off. It will go out oh, there's only 48 options. It's only going to take 2 minutes to run those 48 options, and let's see what the profitability looks like after that. And I'll be back in 2 minutes time. Okay, that run is now complete, and let's have a look at the optimization results, and I'll just sort them. And now we're focusing on the negatives more than anything. And remember, we've tested 48 and we only have 5 negative results. So we almost have 90% success rate on the settings that we are using now. So let's see if we can get rid of those 5 negatives. So the way to do that is, again, to go back to the optimization charts. And clearly here, this one is the start, the take profit, and that, oops, let's just have a look. That's the take profit, and then the other one should be the initial stop. Okay, so clearly this area is more profitable than that area. So by pushing the take profit to 100, we could eliminate that particular block. So we don't need to change the stop loss side. We only need to do the profitability side. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll go to the settings again, and we go and we take the profit will now only be from 120 to 140. Then let's have a look if there's other settings that we can, start of day and the end of the trend. Okay, here's another clear one where this block needs to be eliminated. So we can go from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, but not to 10 o'clock. And then this one goes from 10 to 12. So if we eliminate 10 o'clock from both the start time and the end times, we can also cut out a few negatives. So let's go and have a look at that. We go to the properties. So 10 o'clock as a start time is too early. We're going to make that 12. And I've misread that. Let's go back to the chart. 6 to 8. So it's only really 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock. Okay, so let's go back to the settings. So it's 6 to 8, 12 to 14, I think it was. Yeah, that would be 14 up there. So we're only looking at that and that. That will only leave us with that block. That's a bit severe. We might have to refine this block a little bit. Okay, so we're already at 90%. I think what we've done so far has already reduced it to most probably above 90%. So now we can start looking at more refinement. So we can now start looking at the minutes. So I'm going to put in the minutes, and the minutes will run from 0 to 30 and will stop at 30. So one option could be 6 o'clock, then 6:30, then 7 o'clock, and the other thing here is to reduce the gap a little bit to 1. So you've got 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and 8 o'clock. The same thing we'll do here. We'll reduce that to 1, and we'll start introducing minutes, which is starting at 0, adding 30, but stopping at 30. You can't go to 60. The trend size seems to be fine. We haven't really looked at that. Let's have a quick look at that. Optimization graph. Let's just look at whether the trend makes any difference. Oh, there's definitely a size that can be eliminated. Anything over 40 could be negative. Let's just see what is that being compared to, and we'll look at that. That also, yeah, so anything over 40 can be a big improvement. Let's look at the take profit. Oops, take profit and trend size. Again, everything over 40 doesn't look good. So immediately we can go here and eliminate out of the trend size. We can eliminate. We can now go to gaps of 10. And that should be fine. 2, 3, yeah, that. You see more refinement. Then the take profit seems fine. What we can do is reduce the gap size to 10, and then the initial stop again, reduce the gap size to 10. So now we're going to have a lot of options again, and we'll be able to refine them even more. So we go OK, optimize, everything's still fine. We'll do another run. So what this does is you need to do most probably 3 or 4 runs to get to a band of settings that can be used to provide 90% success rate. Now, we are going to be testing 324 options. It's going to take about 20 minutes. Again, I'll pause the video until all that is done. Again, our goal is to get sort of over 80% success rate. Closer to 90 would be great. And that will then give us a band of settings that we can use for this particular exercise. So I'm going to pause it and come back when this is done. Okay, the next round of optimization is just completed, and let's have a look at the results. Look at the overall results, and I'll just sort them in profitability order. There's some really nice profit settings coming out, but let's have a look at the negatives, because that's really what we want to try and eliminate. And there are quite a few negatives here, and I'll just count them quickly. That's 10, 20, 27, 28. So there are 28 negatives there out of 324. So we clearly 90% of the settings that we have are profitable settings. So and that's more or less what we are going for with this testing process. So when you're doing your testing, all you will be doing is setting this for a 3-month period from today or from whenever, or you could set this for a 6-month period. So you would develop settings for the 3-month period and for the 6-month period, and those would be banded settings, which will look something like we have right now, which would say that the hours can be from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. You could also use the half hours. It would be from 12 o'clock to 12 o'clock. So it sounds a little bit crazy, but you would have 12, 12:30 and 1 would be included in that setting. Then the trend size, clearly here, good between 20 and 40. So again, we've got a nice band there, and your take profit can be anything between 120 and 40. So you could have 120, 130 and 140, and your initial stop could be 80, 90 and 100. So we've got quite a nice band there, and that's all you need to fill in your testing results are those bands. And then to say, as we've just looked, there are 28 negatives out of 328, and that will give us slightly better than 90% return. So that's to give you a feeling of the kind of test results we're looking for. I can go on now and refine these test results even more by, for instance, looking at the optimization graph, and you can see those ones we can eliminate. But this edge here, if we look for settings that are over on this edge, we might even find more profitable settings, because as you can see, it's sort of building up to there. So we could start testing a little bit further into this area. But you can clearly see that there's 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock hours, but after that the profitability isn't that good. So we could possibly even start looking at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock might even give better profitability than the profitability you're getting there. So you can refine it and refine it, but I would say stop when you've got a 90% or 80% success rate with a reasonable amount of options. Say over 300 would be fine, and just complete your testing results based on that. I hope this has given you an idea of how to find groups of settings rather than going for an optimized setting. The optimized setting can be found quite easily, because you just find the best result, which is that one up there, 740. Now, just for instance, if you want to if you've got your best result, you just click on it and you click on set input parameters. It will then set the settings that are then in your EA will be the best results, and you can actually run them accordingly. So we'll run them without optimization, and you'll see that it will then run the setting, the best setting. Let's have a look. So we got a report. Here's the report. It's 741 profit, which is dead right. That's the profitability that we were looking for, and you can see a success rate of about 70%, which is quite good, and the average gain is 120, and the average loss is 80, and that's why this is quite a successful strategy. There's been 3 consecutive wins and only 1 consecutive loss, so overall the strategy looks pretty good. That gives you a good idea. The other thing that I didn't mention before is that when you do your testing, so when using the testing, never use the generic algorithm. So leave that unticked. That will allow the testing to take place on all options identified. If you have any questions about this process, just raise them in the forum. It is unusual because the tendency is to just go for the optimized settings. I don't like doing that. I like finding a whole group of settings that have a 90% or 80% chance of success. That gives that also tells me that the EA is more robust. It isn't relying on 1 or 2 settings. It's relying on maybe 300 or 400 in a quite a tight group. Okay, from me, Alex Deploy. Cheerio.